I just decided to start at the beginning of this whole mess. When I was a kid, I'm really starting at the beginning, I spent the first 5 years of my life in Virginia Beach, Virginia. But then I moved to Maryland, Lutherville to be exact. And I lived there until college, after college. Actually, start of college. Once I moved out of my parents' house, I lived one summer at my parents' house, and after that, I never would move back. I paid my own rent. I paid my own way through college. I had a full scholarship, and I worked my butt off. I had 2 jobs. I slept on an army cot. My parents came to see one play I was in. Otherwise, I never wanted them in my life. Like, they came to see the one play, and my mother was like, how are you going to pay? How are you going to get a job doing this? And I basically refused to have my parents come to anything at my college after that. And I was involved in everything from bell choir to acting to all kinds of events. And my parents didn't come back to the school except for, for little things that I needed at my kept thinking of it, after my freshman year, my parents never came to campus ever again until I graduated, really. I didn't have them back. I moved myself. I took care of me, and they weren't allowed anywhere. I didn't have them anywhere in my life, period, on campus. So they didn't know what I did. They didn't know what my activities were. They didn't know how involved I was. They didn't know I was working for the film department. They didn't know I was an actor, really. Of course, they found out when I graduated, because I had a business economics theater degree. They didn't know I lived at the theater, that I worked at the theater, and I'm really tired of this. I'm not running a box office. These little things, like someone will ask somebody from my life, what should Laura be doing with your life? And I'm like, how about you ask me? I'm realizing my entire life has been, at least the past, especially 10 years, has been people talking to people or gleaming ideas from someone from my past and not actually talking to me. And in the process, what you're doing is you're being passive aggressive, you're finding ways to hurt me, and you're effectively putting me in a position where I'm going to end up homeless on the streets, and you don't care. Because you hate me for some reason. I don't see myself as a pretty person. I never did. But then someone online says, well, you don't see yourself as a pretty person. I don't equate being an actor with being beautiful. I equate being an actor with being someone who has an emotional ingenuity and an emotional talent and emotional creativity. An ability to be able to craft their emotions around a different person and create a different person. I don't see myself in a position now where I'm ever going to feel liked or loved or care about anything, because the people in my past want me to be the kid that everyone made fun of at school again. You want me to be the kid that was broken and had maybe mental problems, but I had those mental problems because my parents were in my life and were abusive to me. Once my parents were gone, I was a strong, vibrant woman. I looked good. I looked healthy because I was actually surrounding myself with positive energy. And I want that positive energy in my life again. But that does not involve people making me go live with my mother, who when I was a kid, I used to come home from school crying because some kid at school bullied me, and my mother would just tell me to go to my room, or tell me to do my homework, or tell me to clean the house. I don't remember my mother ever doting on me, and when she did, I didn't like it. I mean, as an INFP, I'm not very affectionate to begin with, and if you try to be affectionate with me the wrong way, it makes me feel like, just made me feel bad. Like, it made me feel like you're trying to smother me, and I don't like it. And my mother was either overly smothering or just a complete, like, cold fish. And I couldn't deal with it. I was like, I can't deal with you. I don't want to, if you need to find a middle ground. I don't know which, it's like my mother was like a split personality sometimes, I felt. And sometimes she'd cry and be depressed about everything and feel like shit about herself. And I think now looking back, she probably had some sort of depressive mental condition, which she never got treated. She was a nurse at night. She worked 3 nights a week part-time. And she put up with a lot of abuse from my father, but for her, it was just normal. Things that would be, in my opinion, abnormal from another person's perspective. And from a perspective, like, I would watch television and movies and watch how parents and families acted on television shows and on film sets and on movies and reading books. I'm thinking, there's something wrong with this whole situation. Something wrong with the way my mother is. Something wrong with my father and mother interact. And my father was never affectionate. Like, there have been a few moments when he was, but it was always inappropriate moments when I didn't feel like being touched. And so it was like, I would cry and he would say, she's crying now. He would make it like a bullying, joking thing. And the thing is, it got to the point where the more he said that stuff to me, the more I cried. And then he would actually say to me, well, you're using your acting. After I studied acting in college, my mother would tell me, you're using your acting to manipulate us. I'm thinking, no, I'm doing the same thing I did when I was a kid. I'm crying, and you guys are acting like you're not even recognizing the fact that you're causing this pain. And instead of trying to figure out a way to stop my pain, you're causing more pain by just adding on to it. I'm tired of this situation I'm in right now where I feel like people are trying to make me into a relationship with my parents because I'm supposed to go take care of my mother. No, I don't have to take care of my mother. My parents have enough money, they could probably hire a nurse, hire someone this entire fucking time because I don't want to take care of my mother. I'm not going to. I am sick and tired of the fact that I was brought in this world for one purpose and one person only, to be the property of my parents, to grow up and take care of them, without any sense of me having my own identity, my own family, my own friends, my own future. I am sick and tired of this narcissism. I've been a Democrat since I was 17 years old. I have always hated my parents' perspective on the environment, on veganism, on religion. My parents are GOP supporters, they are NRA supporters, they are Trump supporters, and I voted for Clinton. And I'm also tired of the fact that I feel like the far left wants to be gone as much as the far right, because the far left is trying to make me, and this is the weird thing about California, I'm meeting people on the far left who are just as bad as far as how they've abused me and wanting me to have a relationship with my parents. Yesterday was my birthday. No one wished me a happy birthday but my mother. And I didn't want to hear from her. When I didn't even listen to her message. Like, she called me, I didn't listen to it. I know what she said because my phone, I have this thing with my phone where it'll tell me what my messages are. But I read it and I said, this is pathetic. We don't have a relationship. We never did. The day that my mother, when she came to see my first play, told me in the bathroom, which she denies saying to me, she said, how are you going to make money doing this? And then she said, I didn't say that to you. Yes, you did. Yeah, you did. You said the same thing when I was applying to colleges. When I got into Dickinson College, I got an early decision. She's like, well, how, we can't, we're not going to, I'm not giving you any money to go here. And my father, my mother's perspective, my father keeps telling me the only reason I'm getting money is because of my mom. If my mother wasn't alive, he wouldn't give me a dime. But then I don't want her in my life because my entire childhood, she loved my brother. She drove a stake between my brother and me. She destroyed our relationship. And now my father, because he doesn't want to take care of my mother because he's a man and I'm the woman, and I don't want to take care of some guy's kids, period. I never did. I want to be making movies and doing my own thing, and I want to be treated as though I am capable as a man to have a career. I'm not a doctor. I didn't study biology. I'm not a nurse. I mean, Amelia Adams was a girl who took care of me when I was a kid. Actually, she's the first woman, the first person to hold me outside of my family. Her family's chicken farm was near my parents' house, or near in the area like where my parents grew up. So they lived next door, I think, at one point to my grandparents, and they moved to this chicken farm, but my parents kept in touch with them, and so Amelia was the first person to hold me when I was a kid. But that's it. She didn't know me growing up. She saw me in Christmas time. She saw me in the holidays. She only knew what my parents told people. When I said I wanted to be an actor, my parents would tell everyone, no, she really wants to be a lawyer. So everyone grew up with this perspective that I was going to be this GOP Republican lawyer when I was actually an environmentalist who wanted to hang up signs in the woods that said, do not litter. And I hated my parents' perspective on the Bible. I hated my parents' political perspective. And what I've learned from all of this is how when you're a child, people's perspectives of you, as you projected by your parents, can literally destroy your life, especially if years later those people grow up and they won't let go of that image of you. They literally will not accept the fact that you are not the person your parents asked for God. My parents asked for an accountant, Republican, GOP Christian from God, and God gave them, if there is a God, a liberal, emotional, artistic, creative, sensitive woman who is literally falling apart and feeling like shit about herself and is sick because of the abuse. Because of people here in California trying to go make me take care of my mother, because for some reason they want to get rid of me. There was no reason to get rid of me in the first place. If Blake Shields was a mature person and the woman he's with I would be perfectly fine with them, because I'm not after any guy unless he asks me out. And I will not date a guy unless he's in acting, because I'd rather be in an acting class than be with a guy who has money. I don't want to sit across from a guy at dinner table. I can have small talk to a certain extent. But if I have ideas for movies and television shows I want to make and create, but then everyone thinks I can't do that because you all assume that I'm this person that did math when I was a kid. I was a gifted and talented social studies student with honors in English, kind of honors in math, and so-so in science, because I absolutely positively refuse to dissect anything. I once programmed a computer to be an Etch-a-Sketch, like to draw, but that was basic computer programming, and I never did it be anything beyond that. I have a very mathematical mind, only in the sense that it is artistically inclined. I know when something's going on with my computer, and it's probably some sort of virus or some sort of program, because I know how my programs kind of work, and I know how my computer's supposed to work. But I'm not an app programmer. I don't know high-level I did take calculus when I was in high school, but my IQ is 150, and I'm a liberal arts person. I'm more a literate person. I'm more the kind of person who read Shakespeare and Dickens and poetry. I took poetry classes. And you people think I'm going to be able to get a job if you cut me off from the artistic, creative community? I'm not going to go hang out at a tech. And I hate the fact that I'm being invited to these tech events where I'm bored out of my mind and I don't find anybody interesting. I go to AT&T Shape. This is my second year. This year I didn't even go to any of the speakers. I wanted to see Duvernay, the director, speak, and that was it. None of the other speakers interested me, because I'm not the business guru type. I'm not the type who's a strategist. I'm the person who comes up with the story ideas. I'm the content creator. I wrote an essay to get into college on the definition of how the value of a liberal arts education. And I compared a liberal arts education to a varied diet. This is true. The essay that got me into college and got me a full scholarship was an essay about how a technical education, like an education in computer programming, is like a peanut butter sandwich. You eat the same peanut butter sandwich over and over every day, and it's boring. It doesn't broaden your mind. It doesn't make you a well-rounded person. Whereas a liberal arts education is like eating a very healthy diet. It's eating the diet that has little fruit, the grain, the meat, the protein, in my case, the bean, lentils, whatever, for my protein. It's having a varied diet. And having a variety of things in your life and a variety of stimulus is healthier for the brain than having that peanut butter sandwich every day. So that essay, I remember writing it, I remember using that analogy, got me a full scholarship to college. It was a competition. We had to show up we spent a weekend. I spent a weekend at McDaniel College. During that weekend at McDaniel College, we had interviews with people. We had all this stuff. To a certain extent, I was really lucky because my father did meet one of the women in the business program, and she liked my dad. I don't know if they would have gotten me a scholarship if they knew how liberal I was and how environmentally concerned I was and how I prefer being in the arts. I ended up being a business, and oddly enough, the woman who would end up being my advisor in the business program, her daughter, I believe, is now a casting agent out here in California, who did something like casting or got involved with the entertainment industry in some capacity. At least I heard she did. I think it was her. I think she did. But anyways, I think that's always funny because, apples and oranges. Mother is the accountant, daughter is the artist. My dad was a government agent and an economist, even though I have the brain of an economist. I was writing articles on how tariffs are bad because they prevent, because people are more, from a psychological perspective, people are more concerned about feeding themselves and getting food on the table and making sure that they have their needs met. And if you have this tariff war going on with the political parties and political governments, people find ways to work around those tariffs because they have to survive. So in the end, the tariffs don't really help anybody. They hurt because they start a war. It's like a financial war. It's like instead of fighting with weapons, you're fighting with tariffs. One country slaps a tariff on, and they slap back, and they slap back, and they slap back, and then end up going to other countries, and other countries end up getting benefits that should be flowing to the U.S. and back. And the premise being that if you want to really have people change, you need to teach them to change in such a way that it benefits them. In other words, if we want a positive response from another country economically, we need to be willing to give them something that they need. If we do that, they will respond in kind. If, on the other hand, you punish them, they will respond in a retaliatory fashion. It doesn't create an economic boom. It doesn't build up economic support. It doesn't build up economic friendships, or it doesn't create a flow of business that actually builds. And instead of this attitude of us versus them, you have to think about the fact that, you know, I have these stuff I could sell to you, and we need this stuff from you, and get together and collaborate. Because if you bash each other in the head, it doesn't build an healthy economy. It slowly erodes away at the economic structures of both countries until finally there's a point where it just has to break. The tariffs have to go away because the tariffs never worked to begin with. Yeah, that's my economic analysis tonight. But for me, it was like the same thing as acting. It's looking at people and how they function with each other, which is what I really love doing. I love playing characters because I like reading a script and finding out, why is this person the way they are? I don't necessarily like studying groups of people, but individuals. Because individuals fascinate me, because every single person on the planet is not the same. We're all different. There are different shades of religious beliefs. There are different shades of perspectives and philosophies on life. There are different colors and preferences and taste preferences and just stylistic preferences. No one is exactly alike, and when I look at people and they're all dressed the same and they're all trying to be the same, I think that sooner or later that has to break apart. Because sooner or later people want to be individuals and they want to be different, because you're always going to have some people in a society that don't like following the crowd. And I think that that's a natural tendency, because it allows for people to basically change. I don't believe in God. I believe that there is a sort of odd natural order to things. But nothing is supposed to be the same. Because every single snowflake is different. No two plants look exactly alike. Even with twins, there are differences. And the reason that those differences exist is because change is inevitable. Everything has to evolve and move forward. And for me, it's like being told how to move forward. I'm stuck. There's no growth for me now. There's no me being allowed to grow in the way that I was actually created to grow. Because I'm not created to grow to be a real estate agent or to sell things. I was created to grow to have a deep understanding of the human condition in a way as an observer. So for me, it's like journalism is something that would be good at. Observing people involved. And all the avenues that I would go in are avenues in which case people might know who I am. And for some reason, there are people who want to make sure I'm not popular, not liked, and then I'm belittled and degraded. This video will probably only have 10 people watch it. And then someone of those 10 people is going to say, oh, she sucks. Just to make sure that no one else watches it. Because it's this almost psychological perspective, and I know you're doing this. Because you want me to go obey my daddy and take care of my mother. And meanwhile, yesterday, all I could think of after I got that phone call from my mom for wishing me a happy birthday is of all the horrible things she did to me when I was a kid. And about how she's cares more about her Bible and my brother than she ever did for me. And how I would like to basically shove a pillow over her face until she shuts up. I'm going to confess that. I'm going to be honest. That's the way I feel. And I don't need those feelings in my life. I don't need to be put in a position where my choices are kill your mother so you can be free of her abuse and go to jail, or be alone. I'm going to choose being alone. Because for those of you who believe in the God, you actually think that God wants me to have a relationship with a woman who makes me want to commit suicide or murder, then there's something seriously wrong with you. I am not the type of person you think that I am. I'm a better person than my parents. And that's the truth. Because I value things that they don't value. I don't want plastic in our oceans. I love the craft of acting because I actually love the study of the human condition. I don't think logically because I think with my heart and I think with my emotions. And because I do those things, well, it makes me a great actress. And that's what I should be doing. Telling stories and doing what I love. And instead what I get is people lying to me, manipulating me, thinking that I'm going to have a 9-to-5 career. If I'm not in the industry, I don't have a career. If I can't tell stories and write poetry and be creative, I spent the last 5 years of my life being wasted by some sicko attacking me over and over again, preventing me from doing the things that I want, trying to get me to go do what my parents want. Because my parents are so degraded and so miserable because I want to use my imagination, have fun, and play. Well, I'm sorry. What you've done has made me miserable. Think my parents are going to be happy after I commit suicide? Think my parents are going to be happy after I try to kill them? Because I never want to see them again? I can't believe I've just said that. I never in my life thought that I'd be put in a position where I'd actually say that I wanted to kill somebody. I don't, really. What I really want is to be with my membership in the union and for people to stop assuming that I'm going to kill them because I want to kill my parents. Maybe the Christians with the industry should have respected the fact that I was an independent woman who didn't need or want my parents in my life instead of doing the fucking wrong thing by making sure that I was not allowed to be an extra anymore. Because in effect, Arnie Starr gets to still be an extra. Bob Honest from Germany gets to still be an extra, and now he has an acting career. Well, mine was destroyed because I'm a woman. And if one more woman in this town offers to go lunch with me and have a discussion about, well, you know, I had to go take care of my mommy. Really. My parents have forked out enough money to me in order to pay my rent here in California. They could have hired a nurse. They could have hired a maid to take care of my mother. They have a gardener. They have a maid, apparently. You basically destroyed my parents. It cost my parents $150,000, and I'm $100,000 in debt from law school. So if you people here in California and back on the East Coast think you helped my parents, what you did was put me in a position where I'm constantly thinking about hurting myself because I can't stand my parents. You want to know the truth? I lied to the police. The police at one point asked me if I ever thought about committing suicide. I did, in my teens. It stopped when I moved to college. But the very idea of having to go live with my parents again makes me want to commit suicide again. My parents say I had a great childhood. That's bullshit. I wrote little suicide notes to myself. I kept a bottle of Tylenol under my bed because I thought about swallowing it and ending my life until I found out that all it would do was make me sick. Yeah. But no one knew that. No one thought about that. You didn't think about the fact that maybe you're assholes because you assumed what was going on the old-fashioned perspective that my parents had sex and made me, and therefore they're perfectly fine and I should be with them. I wasn't hurting anybody here. I wasn't annoying anybody here. I wasn't taking their time. I'm not a pathetic person that wants to take anybody's time. So I've kicked everybody out of my life. I have. Because the only people in my life are people I want who will make me happy and will make sure that I'm happy and safe. And the only people I want in my life are ones who understand the fact that I'm going to be an actor. And if I don't have a future as an actor, I'm not going to have a future taking care of my mother. I'm not going to have a future going to praying to God. Because from my perspective, your God wants me to be back to being the kid that I was when I was little, being abused and being isolated from everyone and not having any friends and not having any fun and being bitter and ugly and boring and angry and sick. I mean, I was a beautiful girl when I was working on sets. I'm fighting to keep that. I'm fighting every day. And I'm not a Buddhist. I'm a Buddhist. But I'm not listening to other Buddhists. I'm not. I'm going to be the rebel Buddhist that thinks for myself. I don't need you, Buddhists, in my life or to tell me how to think or what to do or hold my hand. Because I'm an actor. And if you don't accept that, if you want me to go take care of my parents and forgive them, do you really want me to hurt my parents and myself? Leave me alone. Because sometimes parents are toxic. And sometimes you need to remove them from your life. And I was better off when I was on set working as an actor than I'm ever going to be again. I was better off without them. And the very fact that I needed... I heard my mother, saw that message from my mother, and I literally wanted to fucking break my phone. I hate her that much. I don't like hating anybody. If the Buddhist community wants to eliminate hate, thank you very much for putting me in a position. I was happy sitting against the stream. I'm not going to go do what my parents want. I'm not leaving the TMZ because you people think, well, Laura's crazy. She thinks she can be a celebrity. Well, she's not allowed to be because she's not special enough. She's not good enough. Her parents obviously told her she was special, and she needs to understand that she isn't. No, what my parents told me was that I was nothing. And yet I was a Phi Beta Kappa Alpha Psi Omega student. I have an incredible amount of talent. I do. And when I have the faith in that talent, you guys decide to tell me to take it away. What I like is acting. And if you parade a hot, sexy woman or together woman around in front of me, I've got news for you. It doesn't have any effect on me whatsoever. Because I'm not going to like her if you do that. And all I'm going to think is, she's shallow, she's insecure, and she won't accept the fact that I'm just as smart as she is, or even smarter. It's really sad when I realize it. I mean, I'd rather spend my birthday cleaning up an ocean than being around people who basically want to cheer me on. I would rather be doing what I love. And for me, being an advocate, I'm advocating for myself first and foremost. Because I have the right to have a voice as a woman, and I have the right to be who I want to be. So from the beginning, you need to understand, I have never had a relationship with my parents. I was never a Republican. I hate them. I was the kid that wanted to basically save the planet, and they didn't care if it burned. So stop trying to make me into the martyr and into the enemy and into the evil person. Because I don't believe in your stupid God, who cares more about plastic and money than he does about the heart. I don't need spirituality. I have ethics and morals. Ethics and morals are more important to me than some sense of a spiritual being controlling my existence and taking care of me. Because the reality is, the one thing I know I need to do is to take care of myself and to do the right thing. And that is not influenced by some higher power. That comes from me.